I think domestic violence is when there's an inappropriate relationship between two people that are either related or closely know each other, or there's violence involved, anything like that.
It's more of an emotional abuse than a physical abuse, like trying to keep them in the relationship instead of like actually physically hurting them.
I think domestic violence is any type of abuse, physical or emotional.
Before starting this project, I assumed that domestic violence only consisted of like physical and sexual abuse.
So you're probably wondering what domestic violence really is. Domestic violence or intimate partner violence can be between two people in a domestic setting. So this can happen between people who are married, cohabiting, or not living together at all. Domestic violence involves abuse against one person to another. It can be any act that causes physical harm to someone, as well as emotional abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, and financial abuse. When a person is going through domestic violence, they usually are in a state of fear where they cannot exactly act like themselves, or they're not always in control of their lives because of the fear that another person is inflicting onto them.
Okay, so it's not always easy to tell at the start of a relationship if it will become abusive. Sometimes partners seem perfect in the beginning, but over time, as a relationship progresses, they get more and more controlling and manipulative and, possessive. And here are some warning signs so that you can prevent that, or at least see it coming. So they might control who you see, where you go, get really jealous if you hang out with friends and family. They might control how you spend your money. They might pressure you to have sex or do things sexually that you're not comfortable with. They might, threaten to hurt your pets. Yeah, things like that.
Over 30 million Americans are affected by domestic violence each year. Domestic violence is the leading cause of injury to American women, more so than muggings, car accidents, and sexual assaults combined. Domestic violence has become so prevalent in the United States that the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the American Medical Association have declared it as a major public health issue. Among the over 900 federally and non-federally recognized tribes and reservations, the rates of domestic violence against women ranges from 46 to 91% of the women are affected. Meanwhile, the rates in the United States range anywhere from 7% to 51%. Some researchers have found that the reasons contributing to the high rates of domestic violence in these communities may be related to the historical oppression of the individuals in these communities, as well as the cultural disruptions they've experienced, poor reservation environments, as well as the high rates of drug and alcohol abuse that occurs in these communities.
What is the ecological model? Well, the ecological model has been used by social scientists to explain behavior, whether it be between the individual or the environment. We asked ourselves, does the individual create their own environment, or does the environment shape the individual? For example, the microsystem deals with things such as your family of origin, what school you went to, what were you taught in school, whereas the macrosystem is a far larger system dealing with things possibly beyond our control, our religion, our cultural values, beliefs, our status. As we go on to the ecological model, we question whether or not an individual can overcome their environment, and whether this individual, by being in a abusive or tragic environment, will become violent, which will lead to domestic abuse, or rather, the environment shapes the individual.
The public policy recommendation that we created involves incarcerated offenders to attend a 6-month boot camp-based program after incarceration. This will involve them learning about the mental, physical, and psychological effects of victims that they abuse. We think it's very important and essential that the offenders learn about the abuse that they created upon the victims. We believe that current policies aren't doing enough to enforce consequences for repeated actions. We believe educating the offenders on their previous domestic abuse will help prevent repeated actions in the future.
For more information on domestic violence and additional resources you may need, feel free to visit the One Love Foundation
or take that Innocence class.